The short-lived small window of a buyer's market is over. At least that's what the headlines say, with titles like the Toronto real estate market roars back to life. And yes, the Mississauga home that made headlines recently did receive 85 offers and sold for $999,000, which is roughly market value, and it was underpriced about $250,000. So yeah, we are seeing increased activity and offer dates, which sometimes result in bidding wars. But are we back to the craziness we've seen previously? Or is this indicative of a January market with maybe a twist of a potential rate decrease? Let's explore. But before we get into it, I'm curious. I'd like to hear from you. Have you been waiting? Waiting for rates to go down? Waiting for prices to settle? If so, are you feeling like it's time to start taking action again? Let me know in the comments. There has been a general consensus that the Bank of Canada would lower rates in the second half of 2024, which, as I've mentioned in other videos, would likely lead to a lot of buyers who've been waiting on the sidelines to jump back in. But I think as a bit of a surprise to many, with just the Bank of Canada's first announcement on January 24th, where they decided to hold the overnight rate at 5%, it seems as if it was an indication enough for many people to start actively looking at housing again. And keep in mind, fixed rates have been on an overall downward trajectory over the last several months. So what does all this mean for you? Well, we'll go through a statement from the Toronto Real Estate Board, and then we'll jump into the numbers to try to decipher what all of this actually means for you as a buyer or seller. My name is Morgan Little, your friendly neighborhood real estate agent here in Toronto. I make these videos to give you the lowdown on what's really happening in our city's real estate scene. If you find anything useful today, do me a favor, hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. We're on our way to 1,000 subs. And hey, if you need some personalized advice, you can always book a call with me using the Calendly link in the description below, and I look forward to connecting. Now let's talk about it. Home sales were up in January 2024 in comparison to 2023. This annual increase came as some home buyers started to benefit from lower borrowing costs associated with fixed rate mortgage products, like I mentioned. New listings were also up year over year, but by a lesser annual rate compared to sales. The resulting tighter market conditions when compared to the same period a year earlier potentially points towards renewed price growth as we move into the spring market. Once the Bank of Canada actually starts cutting its rate policy, likely in the second half of 2024, like I mentioned, expect home sales to pick up even further. There will be more competition between buyers this year as demand picks up and supply of listings remains constrained. The end result will be upward pressure on selling prices over the next 2 years, said TRREB Chief Market Analyst Jason Mercer. Now let's put things into perspective. Sure, the market is showing signs of life, but prices haven't exactly skyrocketed. It's like going from driving at a snail's pace in December to a modest cruise in January. Let's dive into the year-over-year numbers together and figure out what's really good. First up, let's talk volume. Sales in January were up a whopping 37% compared to last year, which is a headline in itself. Side note, January 2023 was an exceptionally slow market. New listings were at just over 8,000, which is just up a little bit from last year as well, and active listings were up just a smidge. But guess what? Prices actually dipped slightly from last January by 1% and month over month from December by over 5%. Plus, inventory shrank in the city of Toronto from about 4 months of inventory to 3. So while it feels like things are heating up, as more people are now fighting over less product, the price tags aren't necessarily reflecting a roaring market just yet. Again, these are signs of a January market where there are less people listing their homes, and I suspect we'll see more come on the market in the spring as per usual. Now, let's break it down even further. As for freehold properties, detached homes saw a slight dip in average sale price compared to December, which is actually a bit abnormal, but with sales volume going up and inventory not yet increasing, this is where we may see some pressure on prices to go up. Semi-detached properties are holding steady with a slight uptick in January, so not a ton to talk about there. Townhomes have somewhat of a similar story as well, with a bit more of a price change from $912,000 in December down to $891,000 in January. And this is an asset class a lot of buyers I work with are interested in because you can get that 3-bed, 2-bath home without having to fork out the detached home prices. So there may be some opportunity for those who've been patiently waiting here. And condo prices have pretty much plateaued since last year and last month, hovering around the same mark of $682,000 across the GTA, being $709,000 in Toronto and $628,000 in the surrounding areas. Transactions are up though, indicating some action in the market. But hold your applause, it's not translating to higher prices, at least not yet. So from where I stand, things are definitely picking up. We're seeing more activity, more interest, but not necessarily crazy price jumps, which is good. It's early days yet, and while some properties are sparking bidding wars, we're not seeing anything off the charts. So again, I'm curious to hear from you. Let me know in the comments if you're ready to jump back in or if you're holding out for that white whale of a market crash. The takeaways from all this are, well, buckle up. It looks like we might be in for a fairly steady ride this year. No wild ups or downs on the horizon, which could be a refreshing change of pace, but it is early days, like I mentioned, so we shall see. And that wraps it up for today. Remember, whether you're buying or selling or just curious about the market, I'm here to help. Book a call with me using the link below. Till next time, this is Morgan Little. Stay well and stay hungry.